action.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for tuning in. My name is Chad Graue. I've been a member of Innovate Springfield since June of 2017, and this is the second presentation training in a series of 2 related to email. And this week, we're going to talk about a little bit more advanced stuff than we did last week. So just again, really quick, if you're watching this on recording, I have worked in e-commerce, helping farms sell grass-fed beef, pork, chicken, eggs, milk to direct to consumer for about the past 3.5 years. Before that, along with my wife, built about 1,000-person direct sales team, and really had learned a lot of concepts even during that business that have been applying through the current one and consulting for e-commerce farms. So that's what I've been doing and kind of diving into this and living it every day, this behavior-based automated email campaigns deal. So, but first, again, I want to shoot back. If you're catching this in this training first and you're not sure or haven't seen the building belief in and then writing emails at SOAR training, I would consider it kind of a prerequisite because we really apply a lot. We use those things to then write the emails, some of the emails I'm going to talk about this evening. So definitely check that out. And briefly, basically SOAR, well, first off, the building belief part was just about walking through how email really is a powerful and relevant sales channel, even though you may have heard the email is dead or dying. It's not. But emails that SOAR are ones that get sent, that get opened, that get acted on and get results. So that's what that stands for. So I again highly recommend that if you haven't seen that yet, to go ahead and check that out. So the goals for this training, I want to just try to help you when we talk about automation and we talk about behavior-based things, actions. I want to help you identify how you can see those opportunities in your business. And it just starts with asking some meaningful questions. Hopefully you're going to leave here with some ideas. And generally the issue here is not a lack of ideas. It's drowning an opportunity with ideas, to be honest. There's so many things you can do. I'm going to make an introduction to some concepts. Maybe if you're seeing this and it's easy peasy and you know what automation is and all the advanced things you can do. And that's great. If not, hopefully this is just setting a vision for what you can do. But also want to set appropriate expectations. So meaning that I know that if you've seen the quote, I kind of mentioned it last week, but you really can't compare your beginning to someone else's middle or their 10-year experience. I know that I get emails from people that are my mentors and I'm like, okay, I gotta step my game up or, whatnot. So, but that's, I think, a normal feeling sometimes. Just got to acknowledge it, but set appropriate expectations, right? I'm going to share some examples. And most importantly, I think I'm going to share some Joey Tribbiati gifts. So that was my daughter. She's a Friends fanatic. She's seen like the whole thing like multiple times, but here's Joey just being like an aw shucks, because he's being featured. So that's kind of the goal. And we're talking about email and automation sometimes, especially during a happy hour, like had to make kind of fun. So had to use Joey to talk with Joey. So that is that. So as far as tools, all right, we are going to very briefly discuss tools. Like this is maybe if I hit 2 minutes, I'd be shocked. But this is part of the discussion is how do you do this? Like what's my tech stack, or what do I have to maybe invest in, or what's a free thing I can do? So I'm going to briefly go through that. All right. So an e-commerce platform is one of the things. Shopify. Maybe you're selling things on Shopify. Maybe you're using WooCommerce. I work with GraceCart, which is a platform specifically built by farmers for farms. That's what I do. I'm a GraceCart guy, right? So those are some of the key. That's just one key thing. Maybe you aren't in e-commerce and you don't have an e-commerce platform, and that's okay. Email service provider, talking about automated email marketing or email automations, you're going to be sending emails from somewhere other than just your email client on your phone or your desktop. So Drip is what I use 99% of the time. ConvertKit's out there. I mentioned it last week. Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp. I'm not sure how much automation MailChimp does. I think it's doing some now. So that's something. It's a tool. Zapier and Automate.io. There's free plans actually, and there's paid ones as well. But Zapier is something that maybe you're familiar with. It allows you to connect technology thing 1 to technology thing 2 if there's not a direct integration. For example, Drip does not have a direct integration with Square. So if you use Square and you're doing cool stuff and you're having transactions, you want to follow up with people, you can say, hey, Zapier, make a Zap to connect Square and send that data to Drip, or likewise. And Automate.io does the same thing. There actually are multiple recipes, what they call them on both platforms, I think, to be able to say, here's what you can do with this and this. So that's a cool thing. A payment processor, if you're running transactions through PayPal or Stripe, that can automate things. Facebook custom audiences or Facebook lead ads. Those are, if somebody submits a lead ad form on Facebook, it can trigger something in your email platform that then sends a cascade of emails and other things that you can do. Facebook custom audiences, I'm actually going to show you one of the ways that I use that on a daily basis. Event related things. So if you use Calendly to book appointments for leads or prospects, you can have it connect your email service provider and then do all sorts of cool stuff, or send reminders 15 minutes before, or sufficiently educate people before they get on the call. Eventbrite, if you host events, you can have Eventbrite tie into your email service platform to build momentum, the days leading up to the event, or to give people directions after the event. There's so many things you can do there. This is not a complete list. This was literally a 5-minute brain dump, maybe, but there's a lot of things you can do, and that's just kind of the start, right? So those are some of the tools that you can use, but the best tool is your brain. This is where we start. So having think time is key for your business, where you're not just always executing and solving problems, but setting time aside to think and plan, and really, and that's what we want to help you try to do tonight, is identify some key questions that you can begin thinking through if you want to automate your business more. So clearly, I had to have a Joey Think GIF. So here he is thinking master plans, and that's what we're going to start to do too. So think time question number 1. What are some key steps in your customers or your clients or your prospects journey? Okay, like what are the different steps they can work through as they work down your funnel or as they ascend up your loyalty ladder, whatever you call it, either way. Okay, so just be thinking, okay, what can they do? Well, maybe in this, I try to come up with multiple examples, and the terminology may not be the same for your business. Like in e-commerce, I don't really use leads or prospects. I don't use those terms, but I know many people do. All right. So maybe someone becomes a lead. Okay, they can become a subscriber. All I have is their email address, or I meet them at an event and I want to follow up with them. That may be their lead. They're unqualified, but maybe I can automate the qualification process so I don't have to email back and forth. Maybe I can send them a type form or some other survey type tool to ask questions that then can be sent to my email service platform, that then it can automate and look through that data and say, yep, here's an appropriate next step. You can send them a demo, or no, this is somebody who's a high value potential client. You need to call them. All right. So you can, if someone becomes a lead, you can have the qualification process automated. Okay. The initial onboarding. So great. They came on, not only qualifying them, but is there any other information you can share with them to help sufficiently educate them? Okay. Maybe another step that in your customer life cycle, your customer journey, is they become a prospect. For me, I would say that's kind of like they create an account. Like they don't buy, but I have much more information. I know their address. I know how would they want to fulfill their order in e-commerce. I know, much more. I have many more data points. So that's a big thing that I key on. And then I can have an initial onboarding for that. I have more data. I can do more cool things. So becoming a prospect. What about when they become a customer? There's a different sequence. Okay. Now that when someone becomes a customer for the first time, what type of things do I want? How do I want to follow up with them as a customer? Because it's a little bit different than somebody who is just a new prospect or a new lead. Okay. And I'm going to go into more of these in more detail. We're just very high level still. Okay. Maybe you have a membership. Okay. Maybe you have a membership. So when they become a member, what kind of welcome sequence do you have for your members? Maybe you have a trainings. Maybe you sell a digital product, right? What happens? Good luck. Here's your thing. Good luck. Or do you have, here's your thing. Good luck. And by the way, here's my follow-up sequence for the next, 6 weeks to make sure you're held accountable and have answering your questions and things like that. So if someone becomes a repeat customer, or they're really, one of your highest value customers or clients, Can you have a sequence that kicks off whenever they reach that threshold, however you define it, right? What if they become an affiliate? What if they're like a promoting customer? They love your brand, they love your business, they're telling people about it already, they're sending you business. Rather than just sending them an affiliate link, like sufficiently educate them about how to be an awesome affiliate. And hey, please don't do this. But here's some examples of successful affiliates. Here are some tools to help you. Again, all these things, when you identify the different part of the customer journey, you can be going back and forth and texting people things here and emailing people here and Facebook messaging here, or you can set up your automation to have it always in place. So if your son or daughter's event, or you're on the couch watching, Bridgerton or whatever you're watching nowadays, then these things are working on your behalf. Okay, so that's one think time. Question one is identify what are the critical steps in my customer life cycle, and then begin to think maybe like, becomes a lead and becomes a new customer, becomes an affiliate, if that's the ones that apply to your business. And then think, what are the touch points that I can begin to brainstorm and think that I want to make sure are communicated. Okay, so that's a think time question. Another one is and this is kind of similar, okay, but this one is what actions or behaviors or really triggers, okay, can I acknowledge? Let me try to break this down a little bit. These are things that actual physical. So the last time we were high level. Now I'm looking at, okay, so when someone becomes a customer, how do I know that? Well, there's an event that gets sent from my e-commerce platform to my email service provider that says made first purchase. So that's an event that I can look for, that when that happens, I know that I can follow up. So that's a trigger. Okay. If they've made their 10th purchase, that can be a trigger for a loyalty sequence. So I look for it. I say, hey, email service provider that's got the capabilities to do this. When order number equals 10, do this thing. Okay. If someone consumed X content, you do whatever X is for you. Maybe they clicked on an email and they read your Hallmark piece of content at some point during your newsletter or during your onboarding sequence. You can document it. You can make a note on their record or account that says, okay, that's an important thing that they did there. When they become a prospect, if they reach a certain, maybe they create an account. That's again what's equivalent to me. If they download a lead magnet, that's something that's a trigger. What happened. So boom, download the lead magnet, send this email, and then whatever other sequence of events that makes sense to follow up after that. If they requested a demo, that's a trigger. Multiple different things that can be in place with the requested a demo. Okay, placed an order, makes sense, pretty straightforward. If they started their cart, to make a purchase, I should know that. That's something I can follow up on to do cart recovery or abandoned cart sequence, right? If they clicked on a link, you can track when people click on links. And then actually I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, a little bit later during when I talk about lead scoring, the concept of lead scoring a little bit. If they registered for an event, that's a trigger. So Eventbrite, send the registration to Drip, start a follow-up sequence that specifically relates to that event. Okay. Last but not least here, they actually attended the event. Maybe they attended a webinar. Maybe you do webinars and you have GoToWebinar say, send me the list of people who checked in and showed up at the event. And then you can have that sequence. Maybe it's different from the people who registered, but they didn't attend. So the people who registered and attended, they get a replay, but you acknowledge, hey, thanks for showing up. We appreciate it. You saw the deal. Don't forget, the offer expires by Saturday night. The people who registered but didn't attend would get a different email saying, sorry, you couldn't make it. Here's the replay. Here's what you missed. So you can talk to them differently versus sending one message that trying to talk to both audiences. You have better conversions when you can try to be more specific, all right? So these are just, again, a few examples, ones that I've used pretty regularly, but some examples of things that are triggers, their actions, their behaviors, right? So that's kind of like another step. First, it was kind of, okay, what is my customer lifecycle steps? what are the actions that kind of define when they enter that next part of the life cycle, okay, or the customer journey. So, yep, I got a couple examples here. I'll just walk through real quick. So this is what's called a workflow in the platform that I use, Drip. And so I know that this is a trigger. They created an account. That is a trigger. They became a prospect. I have a lot of information about them now. So that kicks off. This green thing is like it's called a goal. Boom, they met that goal. It starts this whole 6-month cascade of events and content and offers and whatnot. And so that's that's an example. I'm just assigning some segmentation here. I'm actually sending information to Facebook, putting them in an audience in Facebook, just so I can be able to market to them on Facebook with certain ads as well. Okay, so that's an example. Another example is they confirmed their first order. They became a customer. Different sequence here. Okay, that's just another example, pretty similar. Next is they started the cart. Maybe they started a cart, and in 90 minutes, if they don't finish, then I'm going to send them an email, or maybe it's the next morning, whatever that time frame is for you. So those are just 3 different triggers for different spots in the customer journey. Hopefully this is kind of making sense, just kind of seeing it in action. I got a handful of different sequences related to that. Okay. So those are things that kick off events. Those are things that kick off sequences, but some of those sequences are really long. So, and there becomes a point where if they do meet the goal that I want them to meet, buy a product in this example, then I don't want to market to them anymore. I don't want to be showing them Facebook ads because they've already converted. I'm just spending money I don't have to spend. They're getting emails I don't have to receive. So I could also have, these are called goals that people, when they make a purchase, this is us selling 4 different products. And when they make a purchase, it pulls them out and fast forwards them past all the other content and then pulls them out of the sequence because they're done. Okay. So this is how I acknowledge, okay, how can I, once I start, what activities will take them out of the sequence and acknowledge those things and then pull them out. Okay. So that's that step. So it's really all about listening, right? We got to listen. We got to pay attention. We got to be aware. It's about awareness. What are the things that we can do if they meet our goals? How can we pull them out and treat people differently? Okay. So just it's a matter of brainstorming and thinking through those things. Next, we can also look at behaviors and actions that we want to encourage. Maybe these things aren't happening. Okay, maybe they can happen, but maybe they're not happening. So someone created an account or someone became a prospect, but 30, 60 days later, they haven't purchased. Okay, how can I help them to make a purchase? How can I encourage that? How can I use a platform? How can I use an automation to encourage that, increase the likelihood of that happening? Maybe they made a first purchase, but they haven't made a second purchase in 60 days. Why not? Let's figure out why. Let's give them an offer. Maybe you have this awesome lead magnet on your website that they never opted in, they never got. Okay, well, you can put it in the middle of your onboarding workflow, but you can look to see, did they consume this content? If they submitted a form and they gave you your email address, and you would hopefully document that. And then anybody who has done that already, you can kind of skip past. Okay, but if they have not yet consumed content, you can offer them content. Okay, especially if it's like something you really want them to see. If they became a prospect, if they download a lead magnet, these are all kind of hopefully making sense. If they haven't requested a demo, it should be in your follow-up sequence to make sure everyone gets at least invited to it. Okay, if you have having links in your emails, obviously you want to give people certain calls to action, that helps. If you have this event that's coming up, or an evergreen on always once a month event you do, or a recorded webinar that people haven't registered for before, you can encourage them to do that, right? So these all go together. Not only are we trying to kick things off, but we want to look and see and get the content or the events that we want people to take in to actually participate in those things. Okay. So here are some examples of that. So here, this is further down in one of my sequences, okay, that's out there. And I've given people some content. Actually, this is the day 3 after someone creates an account. Day 1, we welcome them. Day 2, we say, hey, we try to help overcome objections. This is actually a process I talked about in my iSpy hack, one of my iSpy hacks. More kudos to iSpy hacks. But I talk about this process in that training. And so day 1, again, welcome. Day 2, overcome objections by answering common questions, things like that. Day 3, if they have not self-directed a purchase, I'm going to look and see, have they purchased yet? Have they placed an order? If yes, I'm not going to do anything. Okay. But if they've not, I'm going to say, here's how I recommend that you start. Here's this product. It's a great value. It's a great way to save money. It's our customer favorites. Here it is. Click a button, get to the page, to that product. Not go shop at the store, but recommending a product or a certain way that somebody starts. Okay. That's an example of encouraging the activity that you want. Another example, this is, evaluating content. So one of my clients, they have this awesome farm tour. They show what 4 seasons of the year looks like in 5 minutes in a 5-minute video. It's really cool. So if you go to their site, you'll get a little pop-up that says, you want to see what the farm looks like across the 4 seasons of the year. If so, enter your email here. Not everybody does. If they do, we tag them. We document the event of completed farm tour. So if they get this part of the sequence, they're going to skip past because they've already seen it. But anybody else who's not yet seen this content that we want them to see will get sent an email saying, hey, this is something that we really think is cool and you would appreciate, whatever. Better copy than that. But anyhow, another example of evaluating, looking at the information you have to make specific suggestions to people. All right. Here, this is actually about 60 days into into an account creation sequence where they've created an account, but they've placed no order. Okay, so we look, have they purchased a product? Have they already gotten this email? It's actually in the new buyer sequence as well. But if they haven't placed an order in 60 days, let's send them a very friendly one-off, like, hey, just thank you for your interest. Some time ago, you expressed interest in what we do. Rather than send you a survey, I think I actually may have shown this email last week, but it's basically just a very conversational one-off email. So that's, for one, it will convert some people, but you're going to gain feedback. Why didn't this person buy? Wouldn't it be great if everybody who signed up for what you have to offer, if they never converted within a reasonable time frame, you ask them, why not? Like, that's super powerful, and you will convert people, and you will engage in a dialogue. It's a super helpful thing. Highly recommend. Okay, so those are some examples of how you can use. So things are already in play. Things are already in motion. You can, over the course of time, look and see, okay, well, where's this person at? And you can make adjustments or make course correct on recommendations or offers you make to them or content as I just stepped through. Okay. Another question, another important one. Okay. What business goals or metrics do I want to influence? Okay. What can I do to increase average order value? And these first 3, again, if you ever want to grow your business, focus on these 3 things. Have a higher, sell more with the same order. So increase the average order value from 150 to 170. That will grow your business. Increase the number of new customers. That gets more people buying, or increase the frequency at which people buy. Those are 3 key levers, right? So what can you do with automation to do that? So as an example, time to first purchase. Okay. If someone comes in and they create an account and I don't have a sequence, who knows when they will convert. But I guarantee you, if I have a strategy for that first 10 days where I'm overcoming objections, I'm making a recommendation, I'm sharing social proof, and I'm engaging them in conversation, it will be faster than having nothing in place. So that's how I can increase the time to first purchase. How can I actually decrease? How can I decrease the time to their second purchase? One of the automations that we have, maybe figure out, determine how this may apply to or be relevant to your business. But again, after someone makes a purchase, 30 days after their first purchase, we look and see, have they made a second purchase? If not, let's ask. Unless they have like a $400 order value, average order value with their first order, which at that point, maybe it's not, maybe they still have plenty of food in their homes to not make a second purchase. purchase. So that's how we try to address time to second purchase. We don't leave it up to chance that somebody's going to order. We try to pay attention and stay on top of that. Okay. Google reviews. Google reviews are huge. Everyone can get Google reviews. It can ask if you have a Google My Business page. One of the things, this is actually probably done a lot of cool things with my main farm client, but when they first started, they had 32 Google reviews. And what we did with an automation sequence is that new buyer, that confirmed first order automation, okay, that was in place. After we have a sequence or an event that says, hey, this person's order was confirmed, is sent. So 7 to 10 days later, we send them an email that just basically very simply asked for their honest, candid feedback. We don't bribe them with a $25 gift card. We don't do that. It's just like, we'd love your feedback. Here's a button to click, and we make it really easy. They click on the button, it pops up right to enter their review. All they got to do is maybe sign into their Google if they're not signed in. And since January of 2018 to March of 2021, this is being recorded, they went from 32 reviews to 1,152. And as of today, and the cool part about it is they're not just leaving 5 stars, because we're so invested in experience and teaching and one-to-one communication. Like, they leave raving reviews. So then when someone is considering becoming a customer, they're going to go search, they're going to read those, and they have a higher level of confidence. So it only helps conversions as well. So, and it helps with your search results as well. If you have a high amount of engagement on your Google My Business page that shows good results, that's Google takes that into account as well. Another example, if you have a course, maybe you have a free 5-lesson course as your lead magnet, or you actually have a course, or you can track the number of lessons completed. And then if somebody is not completing lessons and it's been 30 days since they've signed up, you can look for that and then automate an email. You can have a weekly email that goes out. Here's where you should be at this point of your experience with this course. And what'd you take away? Try to engage. That's a way you can influence the number of lessons completed. Okay, number of articles read, very, very similar. So again, this is not a complete list, but for your business, what do you want to influence? What are key metrics? Time to first purchase is one I heavily focus on in e-commerce. Time to second purchase is, and number of new account creations is a big one as well, right? So that's just another think time question. That's a really high level one. So again, it was, what is my customer life cycle, or what is my customer journey? What are those touch points? What are the events, the actions, behaviors that we can acknowledge? Okay, what are the things that I can use to kick off some automation? What are those things that I can encourage if they're not already doing it during my onboarding sequences? And then this is just another way to ask those questions is, what business goals do I want to influence? Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna take a quick ask if there's any questions at all or anything in the chat that has come up since I'm just kind of motoring right along here and getting through the slides. Any questions on anything?
I'm not seeing any questions, but ladies, do you have any questions or thoughts? Anything that you want to share? Any ideas? This is an intimate group here, so it's your opportunity.
By any means, speak up or whatnot, or raise your hand in the chat, or however you do it.
For sure.
Okay, all right. And there will be time at the end for questions as well. So lead scoring. Lead scoring is this concept. Basically, a couple of the platforms have it just kind of built in. You can actually build your own as well. It's kind of not for the scope of the current call, but Drip, for example, has a lead scoring built into their platform where you can assign point values to certain activities that people take. And then when they reach a certain threshold, it kicks off an automation campaign. So maybe they open an email. Okay, good, 1 point. They click on a link in email, better, it's 2 points. Maybe they download your lead magnet. Okay, that's more. They're definitely interested. That's 4 points. Or they view your testimonials page. That's 4 points. Which, by the way, one of the things that these platforms do and have, like Drip, for example, they have it's called a JavaScript snippet, a little bit of code. All you do is I don't know how it all works. like an expert, but you take this code from the back of your platform, you copy it, and you put it on a spot on your back end of your website, and it just, that way it allows them to talk. And once somebody has been identified, meaning they've clicked a link on an email and hit your site, or they've submitted a form on your site, then Drip knows when those people are on your different pages of your site as well. So if they're viewing the testimonials page, big deal, 4 points. If they're viewing your pricing page, bigger deal, 8 points. Maybe they attend a webinar, 15 points, and then they request a demo, all right, 30 points. And this completely arbitrary numbers, but you can see the concept is the higher value actions they take have a higher point value. Then maybe once it hits 50, then it's going to say, maybe you add them to a conversion campaign that's emails, or maybe it sends an SMS if they've opted into SMS, or maybe it sends what's called a notification email to your sales team, which means, you can have a couple different sales folks and you can rotate who gets the leads, but whenever that happens, it sends them an email with the person's contact information saying, hey, follow up, this person reached X, became a prospect, whatever. So that's the lead scoring. That's why you can, the link clicks matter for one reason. Okay. So if ever there was a way to get a how you doing, like this is like this person, this person, that they've kind of qualified. So definitely this is the best opportunity to get the how you doing from Joey, which we couldn't miss. So again, you've identified like a prospect. Yeah. Last couple of examples. Okay. Just sharing some more of the concepts here that, again, I've walked through many different opportunities you can have. And hopefully you're seeing some things that pique your interest or that you can explore. And if you can get one thing out of this that you can apply over the course of the next several months, if it's possible, great. Or whenever it is, you have an idea, you have a seed planted, and it can come to fruition on the right timeline for you, right? So interest-based follow-up. Okay, so this is one. Here's an example of thing you can do with automation that's pretty cool. I can say, okay, if someone clicks on the link in an email to my sales page, I want to know that thing. I want to know they clicked on the sales page, okay? Or if they're not on my email list, or actually they were on my email list, okay, but they've unsubscribed or whatever, then I'm going to track if they just visited the page. Or maybe it's that, maybe you've heard of a launch where you have this list of 1,000 people and you say, we have this cool thing started. If you want to hear about it, there's awesome deals, click here and you'll be added to our launch list. Otherwise, we won't bother with you with it if you're not interested. Okay, so maybe 10 to 20% will say yes, okay, and they'll be on the launch list, okay, and then when I send them emails, I'm still going to track and say, if they click on the link, I want to know, okay, because the people that click have a higher level of intent, even for the folks that said, yes, I want to be a part of your launch, okay, though that's a level of interest, but people who click within that segment are an even higher level of interest. So I might send a couple extra emails to the folks who click, okay, because they're a higher level of interest in what we're doing, okay. So that's what we'll do here. Oh, but where I was going was, you could have the other 800 people who initially say they're interested, or they don't opt into the launch list, or maybe they just didn't get the email, or they were busy. Maybe they happen to go to your site and you have it promoted on your site. Hey, pork harvest sales going on, and they click to the sales page. Even though they're not on the email list, because they visited that page and they've been identified by my email service platform, I can still tag them without them ever getting an email. I can say that they're interested because they hit the page. So now I have this audience that I can send extra emails to. So that's what I did here. So I only sent this extra last call email on a Sunday, which was later in the day, or actually this one wasn't. Anyhow, doesn't matter. Same concept. There was what, 3,158 people, 234 got this email, but the other folks, they were less interested. So I didn't send them an extra email. Okay. That way I'm sending more targeted emails, right? So it kind of makes sense. So that's how you can use interest. All right. Event follow-up. This is a big one. If you do events, many people do events, you do things in your home, you you do trainings, you have a table somewhere, you have an email list. How can you follow up with folks? Well, this specific example is one that I'm recently built for one of my customers, clients in Wisconsin. They have this really awesome farm. They have this really cool thing called Burger Night. They've got music, they've got craft beers, they cook up specific burger recipes every week. And it's awesome because it gets people there to experience like where food that they potentially can buy for home delivery, they can see where it's raised. So we get people here, right? For one, which they do. They get a lot of people there, okay? And then they use Square while they're there to pay for their stuff. And then we build a Zap to go from Square to Drip, which basically says added via Square integration. So that's the concept, is get them while they're at this event, and then be able to follow up with them in an automated way without really having the email subscriber list, while they have their beer and their burger in their hand. It's like, can you just give me your email real quick? Like, no, just eat your burger, right? So I know that everybody that is in our email platform, as soon as they're added, like it's a closed system. I know that they have something, this status called funnel stage set. They're a subscriber, they're a registered user, they're a first-time buyer or a repeat buyer. Everybody is in one of those. So if I know that if somebody's added to the system and they don't have that field set, then they're new. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to say, okay, Square is sending me some folks here. Is their funnel stage set? Yep. All right. They know us. We know them. We're not going to do anything. But if we don't know them, then we're going to set the funnel stage. Oh, that was a fail. All right, there we go. We're going to set, I tried to scroll because typically I'm scrolling up and down on these workflows. This is just a screenshot. So we're going to set the subscriber field on that funnel stage, so I know where they're at in the funnel. And then I'm going to tag, hey, they're also interested in Burger Night, so we can make that relevant. But then on Tuesday, so Burger Nights are Fridays and Saturdays, and I'm not going to send emails on Sunday in this particular instance, which I do. It's no big deal. But then on Monday, I know that we have this evergreen onboarding campaign that many people will get and may be in. So I don't send it on email, but on Tuesday at 10, I'm going to then follow up with them. And I'm going to say, let me move this. I'm going to say, hey, thanks for coming. So I'm going to send them this email, actually. Say, hello, happy Tuesday. Again, personal. Again, these same concepts from my talk last week. Branding, boom. What do you want me to do? Very evident. I'm going to click this button, okay? Emoji, sparingly. Your farmer, personal, like I know this person knows me. Thanks, happy Tuesday. First off, thank you, all caps, for choosing to spend time with us at Together Farms last week. I've had a wonderful time. Are making plans to return and bring friends. And then this is an invitation to continue the relationship. Because it was a transactional related email that started, or transaction that kind of started it, I'm not going to just opt them into the newsletter. Okay, I'm going to ask them, but I'm going to make it hopefully compelling. So we send this email on Tuesday. Now, when they click that button, okay, in the email, I have that link, does some cool stuff. When they click that button, the link where they land is a confirmation page. It says, thank you, we'll be in touch. All right, you click confirmation pages, but I'm also on the back end setting this field on their record that says they're a newsletter recipient, yes. Okay, so they click the button, it says yes, and so now they'll start getting the newsletter at least, okay? Hopefully then at some point of, maybe after a few weeks, and they're getting reminders, or they're getting notified of, oh, who's the musician at Burger Night this week? What's the craft beers they're going to have this week? It brings them back, right? Super important. But they haven't created an account yet. I'm just asking to get them on my email list. It's too much information at once to say create an account and fill this out. No, just get them on the email list, have confidence in your newsletter, and then hopefully they'll convert to create an account. All right. So that's what I did here is I made that button a rule that basically said, put them on my email list. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they don't click the button, the next Tuesday, maybe this is hard to see. This says, did you get your invite? Next Tuesday, I'm going to send them that follow-up. And it's the last time I'm going to ask them to join the newsletter list. Okay. But I have 2 times well-written emails that hopefully will convert that. But if not, they just exit. I'll give them 7 days to click that button and then they'll exit. But here's the automation part of this. When they clicked that button, it updated, if you remember, that newsletter recipient field to become a yes. Okay, so it became yes. So then that pulls them out of the sequence. They met their goal. They're not going to get this second email. So that's kind of how that works. That's how you can follow up after an event, put people in the sequence, and that's just one of the ways you can do it. So hopefully, as I believe I'm even wrapping up, over the course of tonight, last week, email is really powerful. There's a lot you can do with it. So I'm happy to always kind of preach about it, both the way the copy is written, the different ways it can save you time, and hopefully, it kind of gets you feeling kind of like this, and that's great, right? So the other thing I want to just share with you, just very short plug, is I have a book that I'm still writing, and this is a hard thing, but I'm not sure when this is going to be done. But it's going to be done. It's going to get shipped. But I have this book. Really, it's going to go through the process, some of the concepts from last week, but more detail and more actionable. So this is going to come out. I don't know, probably this summer. Initially, it was going to be like January, and then it got to be like March. And now I've given myself some leeway and some grace to say, if by the time I got that awesome cold email from this dude, and if it's been a year, if I get that thing in a year, I want to be happy with that. So that's my goal, which I'm on track to do that. So stay tuned. Maybe Sarah will help me get the word out, whenever that is actually done, but that will be finished. So on that note, I got some time here. If you want to discuss anything, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you think some stuff's really cool, like I got 15 minutes to talk about anything. We can talk about the NCAA tournament for all I care. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm down. So I will stop sharing my screen and kind of go from there.
Yeah, the floor is open, ladies.
I had a distraction. Are you writing a book? Is that what that was?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm not a professional book writer. I'm a first-time book writer. So it's like hard. It's really, so basically I've done this thing. I've done direct sales for 7 years, like every day. And then the last 3.5 years, I've done automation and kind of that. So how do I distill that down into 10 chapters that are 2,000 words? It's harder to go, like if this talk was 5 minutes tonight, it would have taken me 3 times as long to create the slides than having 60 minutes. The bigger scope you have to get down to a smaller thing is so hard. So yes, but bottom line, I'm excited about it, and we'll see how it goes.
Cool. You should be. That's awesome. Can't wait to read it.
Good deal. So I would say from an automation standpoint, and Amy, I think you may be already doing some of these things, but the thing that I think that I would encourage anybody to do and have is some welcome sequence of some kind. It will, you'll stand out. I would encourage you to be always, anybody who does this, to be personal, to think, okay, what is the mindset that this person is in? Are there objections that I can break down, or I can kind of start a dialogue? Like those are the things that I think that are super big opportunities. Yes, there's, as I showed tonight, there's umpteen different things you can do. But if you send a regular newsletter, and if you have an onboarding sequence, and maybe if you do events and you have an Eventbrite follow-up sequence, or you have calls, you schedule calls to grow your business, and you have Calendly that's like, yeah, go here, here's my link, choose your thing, be kind of really professional how you follow up. Also, it saves yourself the hassle of getting links to people. Those are things that are they represent kind of everybody's brand, or kind of your brand and whatever. So there are definitely those pieces that you can build a great business with those things. So it doesn't have to be like super advanced. That is advanced. It's better than not doing anything, for sure. So
that makes me feel better, because I was getting a little confused with all the actually, I think MailChimp just started these they call them customer journeys, where
Okay.
it's the if this, like you were showing, and I tried to start one, and oh my gosh, I don't know how you do that. It was hurting my brain. Like, okay, I've got some work to do. I think I really need to get into my customer's head a little bit more, like really examine my avatar and figure that out.
Science, yes. So I think that the way I think about it, and here's another thing could have gone into, but there's a few different ways you can segment people, right? There's tags, which I think MailChimp has tags or lists. I've never really used it, but tags basically is either yes, no. It's either or. It's either you do or you don't. So you can assign people tags, like if they click on which again, I don't know, maybe MailChimp will do this, but if they click on a link and they download something, yes, they did this thing, okay? Or they didn't. If they have it, they did. If they don't, they didn't do it. Those are tags. I don't use tags near as much as I use two things that Drip has. Events, like I use events all the time because it's like time and date stamped. So that helps me tremendously with using those decisions. Have they made a purchase within X number of days? If so, do this. If not, do that. So that's another one. But custom fields, which I don't know if MailChimp has fields yet or if they will, but fields is it can, like with a tag, you have to either add it or remove it. Okay, you can add and remove tags. With a field, you update the field. So it can be like there's multiple different things that it can be, but it's dynamic. It can change. So one primary example is, okay, well, where are they at in the funnel? So I used to use tags. I still use a buyer tag. I still want to say, show me all my buyers, like with the buyer tag. But with the field, they start off maybe as a subscriber. Well, when they create an account, it changes it to registered user. And then if they become a customer, it becomes custom buyer or whatever. So a first time buyer. And then if they have order count of more than one, it becomes repeat buyer. So that's something that is, I use fields, and you can, I don't know, it's not worth going into, but if you're looking to do some of the more different things down in the future, I'm assuming that MailChimp, if they're not already doing those, they will start using fields in some capacity. They'll have events, maybe tags, which again, if they don't do events, not the end of the world, because what you can do is, if I'm guessing that like MailChimp would talk to Eventbrite or something like that, then you can say, if they did this event, have this tag. So you can still do stuff like that. So anyhow, no, I think that just go through that process of thinking of different inflection points or different ways or different times you can connect with your customer. And then you can say, okay, well, I thought of 10 things I can do, or 10 things I wish that or 5 actions I wish my lead would take. And I've thought of 5 pieces of content that I can share with them. So just kind of mix and match. I'll do 2 pieces of content, and then I'll say, okay, well, have I done this thing? If not, recommend it. And if you don't, and if it's still okay if you don't have a platform that does the decision based, which it sounds like MailChimp does, you could still send the email, and it's not the end of the world to put it in front of somebody who already maybe has done that thing. Not the end of the world. But yeah,
I'm starting to learn, like my first 2 tags were people, my prospects,
Mhm.
and then my customers, because I wanted to continue to communicate to them and try to turn some of them into affiliates, but keep educating them about the product and just nurturing them.
Yeah.
And now I've got a lead magnet for webinars, and I've got one for an ebook. So now I've got all these different tags that I'm trying to figure out, it just feels like a big puzzle. Do you have a tool that helps you keep track of all the different segments that you have, or do you do it within the platform? That, to me, inside the platform just seems overwhelming.
I think I do it within the platform, if I understand your question. Well, I tend to just kind of remember, but I don't, it may seem super complex, like with seeing the different, flowy charts or whatever. It's really not as complicated. It's basically, they get in, they became a customer, they're a customer. I know that thing. So then I'm just looking for like purchases. That's the main thing that I do in that specific, in that. So I'm looking at, I guess, about to answer your question, no need for me to go through what I do. While it may look super advanced or hard to remember, it's really not, for how I built it. Now, trying to think of, so your question, Amy, and I know there's a question from Tara as well, I believe, but just trying to remember what defines the tags, or what, tell me to understand that, or kind of unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't remember if it was at this meeting or another one that I was in, but I'm realizing, because I do have a high ticket item, like my price point starts at 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like my nurture campaign for my prospects is only 7 emails deep. And that's just not, I don't think that's enough. But I'm just having trouble keeping track now that I have these lead magnets, and I don't think they should get the same exact email because it was a softer entry point, how to kind of keep track of all these different people in different places. And I don't know. I'm sure it makes sense in your software, but
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, MailChimp.
But in MailChimp, do you have the presence to write different email copy based on the presence of tags? Like, can you say in the actual email, like, if they have this tag, say this?
I think that's what I'm looking at right now with their new customer journey, but I need to play with it.
Because you can use tags.
It looked overwhelming to me.
Yeah. Well, there are, consultants, if you can make any kind of investment, is like in that, they have like a MailChimp person, like it would shorten learning curve. Again, then it's an expense, but also the time of learning that's a business, that's things I weigh out all the time, and it's hard. But there's probably free tools, but you can use tags to send or not send emails, it sound like. But then oftentimes, like, I'll write emails and use tags or fields and say, well, if they're a subscriber, say this. If not a subscriber, if they're a prospect, send this. And it's all one email. Maybe that's how you could, maybe everybody gets the same email in MailChimp, and but you can have it to where customers, you're paying customers, maybe, it's hard to do without seeing. So generally you can try to say, well, show the customer this, unless they've already seen this piece of content. That's probably not the best answer. Sorry. Let's see.
I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
How does this work when you're just provide a service and selling a physical product? So that's what I do, is a service. Now I'm just now starting to market my business outside of referrals. So I'm just kind of getting rolling with some of the things that I do. But I think that having a newsletter, teaching people something once a month, at least every couple of weeks, saying what here's what I've been up to, here's what I've learned. And every so often, if you have people that are clients, that then they can maybe miss a pitch. So if they compared to somebody who's not a client. So if you say, okay, these are my clients, these are my not clients. And then you can speak to them a little bit differently, either within the same email, if your platform allows it, or you can send, a little bit different emails to different lists. That makes sense. You can send one broadcast to again, that's a little cumbersome, but it's also a way you can communicate to 2 different segments of people. Send 2 different emails, and just speak a little bit differently. If there's enough capacity to say, well, if they're a customer, show this. If not, show this. So bottom line, selling a service, that's one thing I would do. As far as some of the other things, mostly it's, it would be, unless you have like a digital product you also sell or a membership that you offer, then I think just staying in touch and providing value at least once a month is something that, and then have the occasional, like, you know, just checking in. Hey, it's Tara. I'm just checking to see how's the content going. Just, is there something I can help you with today? Question mark. Start the occasional conversation. So.
That's great. It really has me thinking about the Innovate Springfield community kind of funnel, and then the different, everyone that's in it. So like the members, the university stakeholders, funders, our peers, general people in the community, and how we talk to all of them the same in the newsletter, but then we also have other communications with them that are different, and they're not all coming from the same platform. Anyway, so it's a lot of communication. So it's got me thinking about a lot of things with the automation and the tags and stuff. So this has been really great. Do you guys have any last questions before we sign off? Because we're coming up on time. Tara? Amy?
I'm sure I will later. That helps me start.
Good. Well,
Excellent.
just measurable progress over, you know, a reasonable period of time, and you get to define reasonable, right? So, and again, give yourself some grace if you don't, you know, that's the one thing you go crazy. You don't, we get so many, we're pulling multiple different ways, that's, yeah, make steps. When you stop walking, you know, for a short, long period of time, that's where it's hard to get back on. It's like with anything.
Thank you so much, Chad. And thank you, ladies, for showing up tonight and for getting the new Zoom link. All of that was just bananas. So thank you all. And if you have any questions after, you know, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you want us to read an email, you know, or give you some feed forward, I'm happy to do it. And Chad, I'm looking forward to promoting that book, All Kinds.
All right.
Can't wait to read it. So thank you all so much. Have a great night. Okay.
See ya. Thanks, Sarah. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.